At one time, no other place on earth was as densely populated nor encompassed such religious and cultural diversity as the Lower East Side. As successive waves of people landed for refuge or a dream of a better life, our religious centers of all origins gathered to save a people. Again, today's challenges are daunting. And again, we only stand a chance together. This is not about religion. It's about community. It's about local, personal relationships. It's thanking those who step forward everywhere, who have the wisdom and the courage to face ignorance, to take personal responsibility in our society, for embracing others. No one here needed to do this. They take time out of very demanding lives, sensing a need for our greater family and our planet. It's so easy to divide and isolate ourselves. Living above and side by side, many forged a genuine knowledge of and respect for each other. Many learned that while nourishing our paths, we could move from bare tolerance to discovering that this very diversity would become our greatest strength and great joy. We've also learned that the vigilance and learning is to be sustained. Thank you for walking the talk, for practicing the preach, for your example, your inspiration. It means the world to most of us in the world. We know we can live together. We often disagree on political opinions and points of view, but that expected difference proves to be broadening, strengthening, keeps us focused on the larger picture, service. This is a story in process, another vital beginning. While hearing these positive voices, please keep in heart and mind the many millions who die and suffer now and through the centuries due to our religious intolerance. For too many, religion has come to represent a source of discrimination and hate. For too many, it represents only judgments of what you can't or shouldn't do. For these here, it's doing what we can do together for ourselves and our one world. When personal tragedy or illness falls, when we lose the one we love dearest, or lose a job, when we need but don't have health care, when we're from a distant land alone, or when hate arises. These are some of the humans who have taken a deep commitment to help us stand back up, hold our hand as we heal, help us belong, renew us towards better lives, and allow us an environment to sense our true personal sacred space. These few serving locally within a 10-minute walk of each other take on their own struggle within and enact that most powerful human gift, that of compassion. They stand together against prejudice, fear, and hate. They stand up for justice, truthfulness, service to one another, for community that cares, for celebrating positive and creative lives together, part of the solutions daily. Here get a brief taste of a few in the neighborhood who, fully steeped in and completely dedicated to their own rich traditions, each feel it worthy to make the time to reach out, exemplify, and encourage us all to widen our circle. Yes, sometimes the best thing we can do is go for a walk on our common ground. Simply being together often says it all.
I was wildly excited meeting neighborhood clergy. It's been a really rich experience for me to meet leaders from different traditions. Welcome! To have questions answered that I've never been able to ask about why certain things are done or why other traditions think the way they do. And it has really just been a really fruitful time of laughter, stories, and I think support for each other. I do a lot of work with people who are transitioning through various life stages, a lot of hospital visits, some counseling. As much as we think that there are so many things that divide us, it's been a real eye-opener to learn that we're all carrying the same sort of concerns for our congregations, concerns about hunger and unemployment, concerns about families and how best to care for the people that we've been entrusted with. So that crosses faith lines, and I think has really brought this group together. And it's really just wonderful to see the way we're congealing as an entity, and it's very inspiring and it's very hopeful. Some of what calls me to be open to other people of various faiths and ethnicities and races is what I heard and experienced in my home. There was an ethos very much steeped in our Christian faith about really loving the neighbor and what that looked like. Also, a very strong feeling that forgiveness was key to our faith. This desire to meet the other, at least halfway. My parents instilled in us also a respect for difference. And I think it's difficult to dismiss any person who is living their life, whatever that life is, with a certain degree of integrity. Whether that life is a Muslim life, that life is a Christian life, whether it's a life of poverty or a life of wealth. You know, people I think who are just moving in the world, trying to do the best they can with what they have, I just have a great respect for them. They don't have to look like me. Healthy dose of an understanding that who I am is not so great. I mean, it's special to me in the way that I assume being who someone else is special to them. Just wanting to share that and explore that keeps me open to other people. I think as a person of faith, and I think just as a, if I could say, citizen of the world, this interaction of people of difference is in large part what we're here for. I don't think we were created to just sort of isolate ourselves and keep to ourselves and learn only about ourselves. There's no fun in that. There's no growth in that. I think this group in particular excites me because there's a huge diversity. The fact that we're in such close proximity to one another and able to be supportive in the ministries that we carry out here in the neighborhood, and to slowly see the way the group is starting to depend on each other is just beyond even the dreams that I had when we started. Some of the clergy have been facing different issues. They will reach out to others in the group. In the beginning, we may have been a little reticent. But to look in your worship space or in your social events and to see a Catholic priest there or to see the imam present is the thing that really keeps me connected and involved. When we had the earthquake in Haiti and all of our various communities were doing whatever we could and continue to do what we can, to have the level of trust, I think, where we reach out to one another for advice was just so heartwarming. That evening, so that we're starting to know each other's stories and to care about the things that the other cares about. And that makes me want to come back for more. I was recently married about 6 weeks ago. To then get personal emails from our Russian Orthodox priest, from our Muslim imam, congratulating me personally and wishing me well on my new life when I was ordained, to get the same sort of outpouring of support and encouragement from people from completely different traditions who believe differently than what I believe, but to still have that show of solidarity on a personal level, to me is the best part of what we do.
It's a wonderful way for all of us in the neighborhood, the spiritual leaders, to get together.
Georgian priest that was needed in the community. Great. And I saw pictures that were taken. We got a cousin that's cut off. Yeah.
To work for various common goals.
Praising God is with the human voice.
We've supported each other for a few causes in the neighborhood. We had a very lovely concert at Christmas time.
16th, 17th century, Peter the Great opened the windows to the west and brought in polyphonic music.
I wasn't sure how people would react to the concert. In fact, it was the people that attended it was very positive. I thought it was a very nice community affair. The open house is opening all of our doors to the neighbors and to the greater community as well. So it's a very wonderful way for us to experience each other.
We consider ourselves the original Russian Orthodox Church that was established in New York City in the 1890s.
In the sanctuary. And it would kind of correspond with the Holy of Holies in the ancient temple.
It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for us to get together and to learn about each other.
It was very joyful to work with my father, digging up the gardens, preparing them for winter, planting garlic.
And what's going on in the communities as well.
Wish Adrian was here.
One of my favorite parts is that I get to see the various churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples, which I most likely would not have the opportunity to see. So when we have our meetings, I get to visit these spiritual places, take a look into their worship space. They wanted to do a concert here, and Father suggested that they do it as a fundraiser for Haiti. A discussion with the priest, the rabbi, and an imam. They do fundraising for that. They've had panel discussions there. The commonality of Abraham, that type of thing. Everyone is very respectful. One of our parishioners, she was thinking of visiting the mosque, and he told her, well, you have to wear a skirt, and you have to cover your head. And then she spoke to the imam, and he said, oh, you can wear your pants, you don't have to wear a skirt. So I was like, okay. But I was just trying to be respectful.
And the darkness comprehended it not.
Getting involved in a new ministry, and it's to use the arts to bring God to people. I'm sitting here in my parish on East 3rd Street, Most Holy Redeemer. I was pastor of the parish back in the 70s. Back in the 30s, I was born here. And I made my first communion here, I was confirmed here. I said my first Mass here as a Roman Catholic priest. The only thing I didn't do was get married in the church. So I'm hoping one of these days. And my family has been in this neighborhood since 1888 continuously. My grandparents were married here in the 1890s. My mother and father were married here.
My three sisters, my brother and I, we sang in the choir.
I'm thrilled beyond words to really get to know the other ministers of the faiths. Walk Broadway, walk Cathedral on 2nd Street. I walked by that many, many, many times as a young, but I never entered it until recently. And I'm thrilled to be part of a group that includes not just the Christian faith, but of course the Jewish faith, which is the basis for Christianity, and the Buddhist and the Hare Krishna. It's just wonderful to, not just to get to know them, but to experience their spirituality. You know, we can all learn from our spirituality. And by spirituality, I mean that just my relationship with God. And according to my beliefs, I have to get closer and closer to God. That's the journey that we all take, and it's not completed until the end of our life. If I don't have good self-esteem, then I try to put that spotlight on somebody else. And you know, in general, when we have our prejudices and when we have our hatreds, many of the wars that were fought throughout history were religious wars, and they were wars because people thought they were right and everybody else was wrong. With the Roman Catholic faith, you know, they had the Crusades where they went after the Muslims, and they wanted to take the Holy Land away from them. And if you think you're right and another faith is wrong, you could go to all sorts of extremes to prove this. One minute we say this God is an all-loving God, loves everyone, crazy in love with everyone, and the next minute he's sending half of the world population to hell. What is that all about? Or he's ignored anybody who's not Catholic. You know, to me, that's crazy. I mean, that's what I believe. But it takes a lifetime. When you grow up, your parents have a tremendous influence on you. So if they're not prejudiced, and if they open up to all sorts of people, we're going to do the same thing. But if they aren't, that stays with you. And it takes a long time to overcome that. Prejudice, I think that dies 20 years after we do. And that's got to be addressed. There's all sorts of isms. The more you get to know God, the more your prejudice evaporates. My experience.
This congregation has been here for a long time, 56 years. I was born here. My mother was the accompanist of the church while she was pregnant. During the service, she started getting labor pains.
My mother was the accompanist of the church, and she was getting pains of playing, and the pastor back then was looking at her and said, "You all right during the service?" She goes, "No, I think I am in labor." Left. Gave birth to me, and now I'm here.
Yes. That's cool. Different religious groups, everybody involved together. And I think that's what we need.
I just have to say that I'm enjoying this music so much, and I really hope that this happens again. It's just a privilege to listen. So thank you so much.
need sharing, we need family outside of our normal family, and friendship, not be segregated. I believe that in my heart that we should have something like this, and finally we do. The beauty is the beauty of each religious institution. Very different. Sometimes we have the same things and sometimes we don't. It's nice to see what are the other religious groups doing. How do they worship? The music they use to worship. Music is another form of worship that brings people together.
Like your mouth explodes. Ready? Solo, 3, 4.
Do it again with the bass. Los cielos. 2, 3.
Los cielos proclaman la gloria de Dios, Cordero de Dios.
The words they use.
Enseñan y exhortan, y tu poder se está moviendo por toda la tierra, porque ¿quién puede contra la mano de Dios?
The different clothing. What does it mean? Some wear robes, some wear tunics, some wear shawl, some wear suits. I love that everyone has something unique about their religion, and I've learned to appreciate that. Not just my own religion and then that's it. It's more than that. I think God appreciates that. I think we all do. Embrace what we see.
I'd like to apologize. I may not show myself in the camera, but if you come, definitely I'll show myself. You're all welcome. I follow the strict Orthodox view, prohibited from showing our pictures except under necessity. Get the interfaith community to come together on basic humanities, basic human character, not stealing from one another, not lying to each other, not fighting with each other. You know, basic humanities that all religions comes to follow.
Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings be upon all of you.
That's what we can work on together to create a more peaceful community and environment. Not necessarily accept each other's views, but accept one another for who we are, accept one another as human beings. That's why I think interfaith is extremely important. In the beginning, I didn't know exactly what to expect. They were very welcoming, which I didn't find surprising, but I found very warm. Nowadays, unfortunately, because of media, there's a lot of bias that spreads, especially about Muslims. So the way that these people accepted us, the Muslim community, that itself is a very big thing, and I'm grateful for that. And they were very nice people as well. A lot of the negativity towards religion, in any religion, is because a lot of times different people of different cultures, backgrounds, countries, ethnicities, languages and governments, they use religion sometimes as a scapegoat, and they'll use it for their own purposes. For example, the Crusades. That had nothing to do with Christianity. Bible didn't condone it or anything. In the same manner, many Muslim extremist groups today, they'll take verses of the Quran, which have to do with war, yes, but they'll use it for their own political gains. And the same way political leaders will take this in their advantage, if you want to say. Everyone's faith is different and everyone's belief is different. I haven't seen any religion that actually condones terror, condones violence, that condones fighting amongst one another. If I had to defend myself, yes. If someone was attacking me, yes. If someone was going to loot my wealth, yes. The better option would be forgiveness. A lot of times there's misunderstandings amongst certain congregants. The religion cannot be blamed for that. As responsible adults, we have to do research, we have to look up information, we have to find out and learn and study each other to know who we are. When you get to know someone or something, you have less fear. Know thy enemy, right? Sometimes when you get to know your enemy, then you come to understand he's more of a friend than your enemy. But because we don't know who our next door neighbor is, we tend to feel uncomfortable with them. But when you get to know them, they say, wow. After September 11th, the beautiful thing I loved about Americans, very open-minded. Americans have generally a desire to educate themselves and learn. They want to know, why are these people attacking us? Why are they enemies? Why do they hate us? So let's go and study them and see, to understand that it's not really Islam, it's really the politics in different countries against one another. When I walk around, I walk in this type of traditional clothing. I rarely see really faces of misjudgment. In school I see a lot of understanding people, you know, they come to understand who you are. It's the most important part of this interfaith, that we get to know one another. All the community, religious clerics and leaders can get together and discuss different issues and problems. If we have questions concerning each other, we can actually get it from the source itself rather than just hear, say, or read somewhere. Let's go straight to the Imam. What does he have to say about Islam? Let's go straight to the Catholic Church. Let's ask the church themselves, straight to the source. Now I can always refer to this person or that person. Or if a student comes and says, I heard that the Christians do this, I can say, you know what, let me confirm it with them. It makes it much easier for us to understand ourselves.
Over and over again we hear and sing the many references to light. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. This Paschal feast is the greatest feast of light. You look the most smashing. Yeah. Good.
Do you have iconostasis and all?
Actually, it's from Holy Russia. Well, I eventually will start your process. That would be a place to start.
Religion, no matter what name it is, no matter what culture or philosophy, bottom line is love and compassion. We are lacking of love and compassion. That's why we fight, we kill each other, we mess up everything, every daily life. We have all these man-made problems.
Including all of us, we have to study each other, we can understand each other, so we can develop some positive things in our community. Any religion, that you get some wisdoms in life that benefit yourself and your community, your friends, your neighbors.
And they were like, no, sorry, we can't sell this cloth to you.
Hi, sorry, how are you? We missed you last time. My religion your religion. Doesn't have to be. It's philosophically they have some, but bottom line, love and compassion has no color. It's called universal.
Once I was a young boy, I asked my teacher, I see in India there's a religion conflict, Muslims, Hindus, this and that. Why we need so many religions? They're killing here and they're bombing here, this and that. He said, it's not religion making that. He said, ever went to a restaurant to eat food? I said, yeah. Did they feed you one food for every day? I said, no. They give you a menu. So what's in the menu? I said, many varieties. Why? Because to taste, appetite. Everybody has their own different taste.
This is serious.
There are many religions. They teach you how to be a good person, how to be a beneficial person, how to help others through the understanding of interdependence, through the understanding of cause and effect, not from guns and the bombs. That's why I think it's only the way we can achieve world peace. We have to work together, all the religion communities, make difference in the world. And then Buddhism says, if you don't know how to love yourself, you don't know how to love others. First start from self, then your family, then your community, then city, then country, then you go to the other side of the world. Everybody, we work together. How to solve the problems, how to teach the kids not to use a gun, not to kill, not to hate. We have to see everything longer and wider perspective. Not just how I look, what I eat. Interfaith is a very important way to bring the friendship connected together. I want to say thank you very much for working together, continue more development in the community. So something happening in our community, we can help each other through our groups. That's wonderful. We can help anybody. So anything that is necessary I can do for them, I'm very happy to do it.
I've enjoyed the interfaith activities here in the East Village. It's a wonderful way to really create community, and it's, instead of being able to point at our differences, if we are able to really embrace our commonalities, we have access to tremendous, not only tremendous spiritual power, but tremendous social network as well. And it really creates a neighborhood. One of the things I love about Judaism is that it's a spiritual system that does not proclaim that its adherents have an exclusive access to divine communication, to holiness. It's just a different set of tools.
We don't get the whole discussion. I don't know. I mean, I've always thought about it. Again, I'm not the authority here. I'm just one. This is what the Ramchal is saying. This is it. We have to. This is our point of departure.
This feeling that something is greater than us, and that somehow we can attach to it. We can focus in, and by doing that, we will raise ourselves up. By studying Judaism, I realized that everybody, all people of the world, are spiritual beings, and we have that in common. Music is another thing that we have in common. We're born musicians. We come out, the first thing we do is start singing, and our drum inside keeps beating until the day we pass to the next world. Embracing the music from various cultures and finding out as much as I can about how people in the world make music and how music relates to their daily life enables me to learn more about myself and find ways to make connections with people that ordinarily would seem inaccessible to me. I really think that the root of any type of prejudice, xenophobia, is really rooted in fear of the unknown. If we get to know each other, we find that a lot of our baggage is no longer necessary to carry around with us. Once we put our baggage down, we have our hands open to embrace each other.
Isolated things. I mean, people wouldn't draw the same conclusion to someone of another faith and try to typecast.
I find that the arts, and in my case music specifically, is just a tremendous way to get to the core of our humanity. I've never met any musicians who will put their politics or religion above the sound that's coming out of one another's mouths or instruments. As long as we just keep singing and playing together, I think that we'll be able to really change the world one neighborhood at a time.
Since we want to be a community of faith and action, our motto at St. Mark's is, authority in the body of Christ arises from work accomplished, not positions occupied. This is the chapel of Dr. Martin Luther King, Archbishop Oscar Romero, and all the martyrs of the Americas. We started out showing up at labor demonstrations and picket lines as callers on call, and later it became collars, yarmulkes, and kufis on call. And we found that if we encouraged each group to express how justice in the workplace was reflected in their own tradition, it was very beneficial, more so than trying to get a worship together. It's the principles of each faith group that count. This commitment is struggling to become a community of faith and action that includes people of all backgrounds, ethnic and racial and cultural, that has been transformed by this quest from a congregation of aristocratic slave owners at the end of the 18th century when it was founded, and it has become a community that struggles to be a community of faith and action. We were instrumental, for example, in the early 90s in defeating the plan of New York State to make for-profit hospitals, and we opposed that, and that was successful. It is a form of sacrilege to deny workers a just share of the value that their labor produces, and to deny them a voice in how the value they produce is used. To have a strong labor movement with the rights to organize is fundamental. Interfaith understanding is extremely important to promote peace between faith groups, and especially in a time of tension. If one is confident and comfortable and firm in one's own faith tradition, it gives a platform for understanding and cooperative working together with other faith groups. Doubts with one's own faith sometimes are reflected in hostility toward others. That there are those who presume to speak for God, or as Bob Dylan said, some people want to use God as a weapon to carry out their own agendas. And of course that is denying the primacy of God in our lives. Where you have division according to faith, you also have a weakening of the faith group's voice for justice. And that's very unfortunate, and that's another reason for working for understanding. We are to promote justice and to look at our own behaviors as human beings. If we are open to what God wants, we will find that this agenda is peace and justice, and not division and conflict.
Weeks ago, a friend of mine, an old friend, came to visit us and studying about that good old way, and you shall wear the starry crown, good Lord, show me the way.
It was really funny to walk into this parlor in a beautiful Orthodox church, and there are a bunch of guys in black. It has a lighter spirit than most of the groups like this I've been a part of. You can walk into rooms like that feel awful. You don't want to be there, or that feel heavy. It was sweet and friendly, and I thought filled with really interesting people. It felt very hospitable to me. And not that you need that or expect that to engage these conversations, but it makes it nice and easier.
That would be interesting. Next year they're together again.
They are?
Together.
Let's do it. Wouldn't that be so
much? That'd be wonderful.
I think that's reflective of what the Lower East Side is. I think this neighborhood is proud of being a community of immigrants and of travelers and of all kinds of people that don't fit in other places, or that choose it for those very specific values. In the midst of profound struggle, I don't want to make light of poverty and suffering and conflict in these neighborhoods.
It's really cool because they were stopping the underground.
I was raised in communities that were religiously diverse, within which my family clearly was closer to these people that were of different faiths than we were as Christians, than they were to many of our fellow Christians. say that you or your people or your religion in some way have been spoken badly of or have been attacked by another religion. In India, it's an easy way to gather a rally. Gods are not of religion. Religion is not necessarily a god. I wish it always were. Religion is our attempt to reach God, to speak with God, to discern God in the world around us. It is as easily abused as any other construct of society, including our political systems or our ethnic identities or other points of identity. Personally, I am someone who is deeply moved by the life of faith. It doesn't feel like an intellectual assent as much as something that is true in my life. When I decided that I wanted to follow a religious path, it seemed, and it still seems to me, that I have often more in common with people who also choose to follow a religious path, regardless of what that religious path is. We seek God in different ways, we seek the divine in different ways, we discern that truth in different ways. We seek God, and there's such beauty and richness in the traditions of the world that I find it hard to understand why anyone who took religion seriously wouldn't take all faiths quite seriously and seek the deepening of their own faith by engagement with other traditions.
Do you ever find yourself around something like religious anxiety tonight?
Some of the most powerful social movements in history have come out of religious communities. And that's not by chance. It's because religion can cause us to dream and hope and believe in things that seem impossible in the natural world around us. Religion at its best connects us to who we are and it helps us to make meaning in our lives. I think our religious groups creates a real joy in these communities.
This little light of mine, I said I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
The Catholic Worker began here in New York City with Dorothy Day and Peter Moore. Houses of hospitality, working on the land, roundtable discussions, and a newspaper. In May 1st, 1933, they started handing out the very first Catholic Worker. And it's the same newspaper that we continue today.
Every day we have a vegetarian option.
We serve meals during the week, and showers and clothing room, pantry. It's still continue the soup line. We try to have open hospitality so that anybody who is hungry or needs something can come in, and we try to do our best to provide.
There's only white ones here.
We also practice precarious poverty, which Dorothy Day had wrote about. We don't store away the money for hard times, that we give away any excess money. And we keep only enough money that will get us by or pay our rents for the next 3 or 4 months. And the rest we try to share and give away. It's very much an attempt to live in poverty and be close to the poor and to live without security and to do our work from that position. For the most part, we're not for profit. We don't have any status with the government for being tax exempt or aid. We have no formal connections with the Catholic Church. It frees us to do and to decide to do what we want to do and how we want to do it.
Generous and
the works of mercy, feeding the hungry and sheltering the homeless and caring for the sick and elderly and visiting the prisoner. And protesting is one of the spiritual works of mercy.
Singing for those who can't.
I'm gonna let it shine. Singing for those who can't.
Said you wouldn't make fun.
I'm gonna let it shine. Sing for those who can't. I'm gonna let it shine.
A lot of our work today is focused on not just on the newspaper, but also on the daily hospitality and protesting war and activism against injustice.
Please attempt to be silent and mindful. This is a very simple plea.
Shut it down, 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 shut it down.
We gotta close Guantanamo.
Shut it down, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. We gotta close Guantanamo. Shut it down, shut it down.
I think Adrian said one time, these meetings are not just meetings. I mean, meetings could be dreadful. She said, really, this is the highlight of this is one of the highlights of my month, to be able to sit in a room full of such, wonderful people. All the different faiths that we have together. We all have such full lives that it's very easy to simply not make the effort, but once we do come together, then it's always fruitful, it's always good. I think it's quite a special time simply to step out of my own craziness here and just hear about things that are happening in their communities, because they live and are practicing such full lives. It's simply good to make contact in that way. It's always quite joyful.
A song that was written by Woody Guthrie, a tradition that we hope is still vital, which is direct action, speaking our faith in action on behalf of our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate. As one man once said in Central America, when I feed the poor, they call me a saint. When I ask why we have so many poor, they call me a communist.
When the love of the poor will one day turn to hate, when the patience of the poor gives way, would be better for you rich if you had never been born, and they laid Jesus Christ in his grave. Jesus was a man, a carpenter by hand, his followers true and brave. Cops and legislators, dangerous agitators, they laid Jesus Christ in his grave.
We put our heads together. We're trying new things here and there. The open house was a new idea. The music night was a new idea. And I think it's been really quite excellent. It's been surprising how good these things have turned out.
The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which was started in 1966. We are all living in the same neighborhood. All of a sudden, it's a new circle of friends that I gained. Now, when I walk down the streets, once in a while, I run into a rabbi or a priest or an imam, and I know him. The ultimate goal of life that's worth achieving is love of God. There's a commonality we have. To share that with more people in an intimate way, that gives quality of life, which is then a very wonderful antidote to the isolated individualism. Three names of God, whom we call Krishna. Krishna means the all-attractive, Rama is the embodiment of our pleasure, and Hare is the pleasure potency of God, which is the female aspect of God. So it's a simple prayer, just to simply be engaged. It's a prayer for service, to be engaged in service of God and of mankind. I found this work with the interfaith group beneficial for myself because it's a nice check and balance system to get me out of my box and keep tabs on my sectarianism and my fanaticism and thinking, you know, our way is the only way. This is because, you know, if you move always in the same circles, you kind of take, you adopt a certain worldview. But then now you meet people who also, you know, believe in God. There's only one God. And they have a very different style of worship. Gets me out of my comfort zone and said, oh, this really broadens my horizon personally, which I found very satisfying and very enriching to my own spiritual life. It really also my understanding of God and my relationship with God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
It's not the people or what they do, there's something that triggered in me. That is something I have to look at and I'm totally in denial of. Maybe that's something buried from my childhood. The heart closed, we're trying so hard to open up the heart, and then putting somebody down, there's this toxic sense of satisfaction, but that doesn't compare to the pain of when your heart closes again. You become more and more lonely. It causes isolation and not integration.
Yes, we all have different faiths and we have a different type of worship, but we can still be friends. We can still, you know, talk to each other, which is, I think, nowadays for people very important to see, because the newspapers are full with instances where just because of a different belief, there's ongoing and generations and centuries of crime, just hurting each other, you know, tit for tat, and just, you know, go back and forth, an unending cycle that ends of violence and revenge. So it's very important for people to see that it also doesn't have to be that way. There are people who are very strongly committed to their own faith, but they can also appreciate other faith and actually can still be friends. Great saints, if you study lives of great saints in all traditions, I don't think that they caused a lot of violence. They were more harmonizers. They could really see how humanity could be united rather than divided. Level, on the platform of the soul, where we can see the true equality of us as spiritual beings. I think that's a very powerful message, and it's very healing for the planet.
That's all of the same thing. So I come on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
We have a meeting together today.
وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب when I call your name.
So I'm looking forward to your emails.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't say. I didn't specify the email.
Down at Guantanamo, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
In front of the White House,
I'm gonna let it shine.
in front of the White House,
I'm gonna let it shine.